Welcome back to Broken Electronics. I'm Lee, and yes, we're hitting the road again today. Another Facebook Marketplace expedition. What is it, 7? I lose track. Anyhow, it should be interesting. It's a computer near and dear to my heart. One that I used a lot back in the day, but never owned. Now, if you want to know what that all means, stay tuned. Well, this will hardly be the longest one of these trips that I've taken, but it ranks up there. It's about a little under 3.5 hours, and we're heading to Pennsylvania. So, hang in there. You won't have to wait through all this time. Stay tuned. Well, up in Western Connecticut, stopped dead. Well, it was stopped dead on Route 15, the Merritt Parkway. Hopefully, it's a construction delay. Hopefully, it's going to clear up pretty soon. Stay tuned.
Left 2 lanes.
Well, okay. I've just crossed into New York State. We're on the Hutchinson River Parkway. We're on our way, actually, to Plymouth, Pennsylvania. And the unfortunate thing with that is
Continue on to Hutchinson River Parkway South.
there is no real way to avoid going through New York
In
City.
11 miles, take exit 15 onto Cross County, Parkway West toward George Washington Bridge.
I'm sure you can hear Siri guiding me now. Well, I'll let you know when we're past New York anyway. Should be a little while, so stay tuned. Well, we're in New Jersey now. Yay, on the New Jersey Turnpike. That's something. I spent about 15 minutes mostly motionless on a ramp trying to get to the George Washington Bridge. I hate driving in New York. Oh well, stay tuned. Well, we've arrived here at what appears to be a very closed up movie theater. So I'll have to contact the seller and do the transaction. Stay tuned. Well, greetings from the Joyce-Kilmer Rest area, northbound on the New Jersey Turnpike. Unfortunately, the trip home is going to take an hour longer because of the traffic in, you guessed it, New York City. But the deed is done anyway, so I am anticipating the next time you will be seeing me in this video will be from my home. Stay tuned. And I'm back. I apologize for the quality of the video. The late 2015 27-inch iMac is a great computer. But the camera is rather lacking, as you can see. But there it is. And I really did not want to carry that up another flight of stairs to get up to where my Mac Pro is. So we'll make do. Now, what is it? Of course, if you've looked at the title of the video, it's pretty obviously, this is a 2004 eMac. But the further question is, what is an eMac? I realize many of you who look at these videos know exactly what an eMac is. Please feel free to skip ahead in the video if you wish. But for the benefit of those who don't know, the eMac was a computer made starting in 2003 and continued to be made up well into 2005. Specifically, as the name might lead you to think, for the education market. Apple had always been big in the education market back to the days of the Apple II, and that continued. It dwindled during the late 90s, Apple's dark era, mid to late 90s. But in large measure, it's that education market that carried Apple through. Well, anyhow, in 2003, actually in 2002, Apple introduced the iMac G4, that beautiful, iconic computer, which was the first consumer-oriented, home-oriented machine, which had an LCD flat panel. Now, that made the computer very, very cool. It also made it very, very expensive. And school systems in particular balked at the idea. Most of them were ready at that point to move on from the iMac G3s that they had, at least in part. So Apple developed a computer that fundamentally is an iMac G4 with a CRT. So you've got a case, obviously, very, very similar to the iMac G3 case, lacks the handle, and I will tell you, I've just carried this up from my garage. This thing is heavy. It's about 50 pounds. And no handle, but I got it up here. It's in one piece, so what the heck? It's not going to go up another flight. I'll guarantee you that. All right, now, interestingly, specifically about this machine, the eMac did, as I say, was sold at first exclusively to the education market. You couldn't get one. But they did develop a great deal of popularity. There was a clear demand for them. So Apple, I believe starting in 2004, began to sell them to the home market. The gentleman who sold me this computer was the original owner, bought it in 2004. He used it as a home computer. It's in lovely condition. I mean, there's obviously some scratches on it and everything, but it's been very, very, very well taken care of. I am excited to have it. The things that came with it. The original keyboard. I got a bunch of those. It was nice to have that. He apologized profusely that the original mouse had died, so this is a generic Logitech mouse, but he threw that in. Never hurts to have an extra wired mouse around. Now, where? And that which came with it in a Ziploc plastic bag rather than the original packaging, but still. The two CDs, this machine, 2004, of course, shipped with Panther pre-installed, and Panther should be on it now. These are the install CDs, 1 and 2. The retail Panther had a third disc that this does not have. All right. And some paperwork. The Apple Computer 1-year limited warranty. Somehow I don't think that's going to be any good to me, but what the heck, it came with the computer. And the software license agreement, which of course I will read cover to cover. Welcome to Panther. You know, all of the new and wonderful things available in their latest operating system as of 2003. All right, this I'm going to find interesting, and this I seriously do intend to read cover to cover. The eMac User's Guide. This should be interesting. Now, I told you in that little teaser intro clip that this was a computer that I used a lot back in the day, but I never owned one. And I never did. The schools had them. I was a freelance performing musician for about 15 years. I decided I needed to have a little bit more structure in my life. So I got my teaching certification. I began teaching instrumental music in elementary schools. One of the schools in particular had one of these in the music room. I couldn't always teach in the music room, but when the vocal music teacher wasn't there, which was one day a week, I used this rather than setting up my PowerBook G4. I used a lot. I had the massive of the day 64 gigabyte flash drives. And in the day, those were pretty darn big. And with those flash drives, I put apps to go. I had Firefox on there, Thunderbird, NeoOffice, I think, and a bunch of others that were all specifically set up to leave no trace on the home computer. So I would use the computer when I was at the school. At the end of the day, shut it down, take the flash drive out, bring it home, all the files and documents, whatever I had been working on during the day, saved. So it was a very handy way. Okay, I think what we're going to do now, this has gone on more than long enough, particularly with the graininess of it. Let's take a bit of a closer look around the outside of the computer and then give it its first boot. So if you're interested in those things, please stay tuned. Okay, to take a quick tour of the eMac, we look at it from the front here. eMac right there. I apologize for the dimness. All right. Speakers on either side. These speakers are supposed to be very, very good. Quite honestly, I don't remember. I see the Apple logo in here, but in there, that's the door for a tray loading optical drive. I believe it should be a super drive. I always appreciate having tray loaders as opposed to slot loaders. Steve Jobs be darned. Okay, nothing much to see on this side, except of course the screws holding the casing on. And onto the back, some nice ventilation for the CRT, which will get very, very warm. And then over to here, we have headphone jack, microphone, 3 USB 2 ports, one of which has the keyboard going into it. The mouse is plugged into the keyboard, of course. We have 2 Firewire 400 ports, always nice to have. For the modem, the telephone jack, Ethernet jack. I don't know if this has gigabit Ethernet or not. I'll have to look that up. And this is a mini VGA port, so you can set the computer up with an external monitor. By default, it can only mirror, although I understand, much like with the iMac G5 and the iMac G4, you can apply a software hack. All right, and then we're back around to the front. So what I'm going to have to do now is get the tripod set up. Let's boot it up and see what happens. Stay tuned. Well, the way I've set up the screen is going to make it almost impossible to reach the power button, which is on the side and towards the back here. So I'll walk around behind. Okay, lights on. You hear sounds. Nice solid chime. So far the speakers do seem good. Come on, screen, you can do it. And it is. There we go. There's our Apple. Spinning around. And okay. Uh-oh. Okay, fortunately I just hit the mute button. The only copyright strike I have ever received was for a Panther welcome screen. So, okay, we've taken that down. All right, no, we're not going to transfer information. All right, I'm going to set this up. I commend the seller, who seems like a really nice guy. He obviously has done a clean install for me. I will go through this and get it all set up. I'll be back with you soon. Stay tuned. All right, well, here we are in Panther. All right, about this Mac. Okay, yeah, so he installed it from those existing disks, so it's only up to 10.3.4. Panther tops out at 10.3.9. Software update will do nothing. I have those updates. I could apply them. Maybe I will just for the heck of it. So yeah, we've got a 1.25 gigahertz PowerPC G4. Very nice. Only 512 megabytes of DDR RAM. Now, the seller told me that he had upgraded RAM. Had no idea how much was in it. 512, I think. I can't really see, it's too dim. It may have come with 256. He possibly swapped that out, put a 512 or put another 256 in. Okay, well, let's look in here. Okay, there we see our PowerPC G4, etc. All right, so we've got 512 in one, and the other one's empty. Now, I'm going completely by memory here. I think this machine can deal with 2 gigabytes. So we're going to have to get some RAM, obviously, before we go much further. There won't be much of anything in here. Oh, well, yeah, of course. We've got the GPU. So it's ATI RV280, whatever the heck that is, but it's got 32 megabytes video RAM, which is something. And I'll say, this display looks very, very nice. Okay, now the ATA bus. Okay, Pioneer DVD-RW. So, yep, both read and write TV. So it's a super drive, all right. DVD burner, CD burner, plays everything. All right. And yeah, the built-in 80 gig hard drive. All right. Now I'm just gonna check a couple places here. Yep, clean install. I had praised the seller of the iBook G4 that I got for having done a clean install for me. Turns out, no, he just set it up to open up to create a new user. The user accounts were still in there. Now, they're password protected, so I couldn't get at them. I mean, I could get at them, but I'm not going to. But no, this is definitely a clean install. And yeah, the apps, we just have the apps that come with the clean install. Okay. So, now there are 2 things that I really would like to do with this machine. Oh yeah, there was something else I wanted to check. Come on. Not used to the Panther system profiler. Under network. Built-in Ethernet internal modem. Oh, there's airport. Yeah, okay, so there's no airport card. Not that surprising, really, but we will plug in Ethernet and be fine. No real point here in Panther. Okay, so I was saying, the first single most obvious thing we've got to do, RAM. And I'll get some RAM, and we will definitely get that upgraded. Now, what I'd like to do is put something bigger than that 50 gig drive in there. The problem there, getting at the drives in these machines is not easy. Doable, but not easy. So I think I'm going to take some time with it. It's just going to have to wait until a point where I've got time before we can get further into that. So, once I get, I can turn the volume back up. Okay. So, I am going to get RAM. I'm going to install, I want to do the normal thing that I do is to install Leopard and Tiger. You would need Tiger to be able to, you could do it with Panther, but you want to get OS 9 support in there through Classic. Although this machine should run Leopard very, very, very well. But with only 80 gigs on that hard drive, that's stretching things a bit. Well, I'll probably just partition the drive that's in there and work with what's there just to get something going with it. And then when I've got some definite time where I'm not under any pressure and just go really slowly, I will probably try to get a drive in here. All right, so we'll definitely get another video on this machine, unquestionably. We'll have more RAM and installing the newer OSs and a better look at what the machine is capable of with those. I loved Panther in the day. I love it still. But there's just not that much you can do with it in today's world. All right. So anyway, be good to other people who need it and deserve it. Be good to yourselves. You need it and deserve it. We will make this world a better place. It is not, so please, please take very, very good and careful care. So at least one more video here in the eMac. A bunch of other things coming up. Until those things do, in fact, come up on the channel, this has been Broken Electronics.